So I know you guys are probably wanting a clear, concise guide on what to do with the new guild boss with Apocalypse 1 difficulty. Well, let's get started. First things first though, this is on test server. I was able to film this before it came out on global, so that's why I was able to practice before it even came out. First, let's start with the heroes that I'm using here. Obviously, this is a very ideal team. This team is probably the best it can get if you don't want to use a character like Pope. Almost every one of these characters can be swapped out with little to no problems, with a few exceptions, so let me go over those first. First being, you need to make sure you have a cleansing healer, aka Elowen or Madon. I'm using Elowen here and I have it set up so that when she ults, she's able to cleanse the poison that you'll see later. The second required thing is a character that has a big healing range, ideally Pharisee, because Pharisee has two talents. He can make it so they don't take as much AoE damage, and the final thing you need is a character who can take a lot of hits. I chose Torador, and the reason why is because the boss has an attack where he does a massive amount of damage to a single target who has the highest HP. Now let's talk about his stages. He has 3. As you just saw, he pulls out the sword. The sword stage is probably the least threatening stage where he deals the least amount of damage. You don't really have to worry about it now, but later rounds, whenever you want to try to save up your ults, you want to save them during this round. Because the next round, he has this shield, and this is probably the most dangerous round. This scratch here does a lot of damage the further you get into the game, but the main problem is if you look there, you can see the blue that is on his shield. The more blue he has on his shield corresponds to the more damage he does and the less damage that he takes. Those are permanent and will be there the entire game, so you need to make sure you kill him as fast as you can on that round and get to this round where a character like Madon and Elowen become very important. What I do here is I wait till the second poison and then I cleanse with Elowen. The reason is because the poison stacks, and the more poison you have, the harder it is to heal your allies and the more damage they take. So you have to make sure you do it after you've been poisoned twice and no more than that. Now, in the interest of saving time, I'm going to skip from round 2 to round 4. And you can tell it's more difficult because the higher the number that's next to that fist, the more damage he's gonna do and the less damage he's gonna take. Now that we're at a higher level, I could finally show you what the Death Saw really does. If you look here, you can see that it drops down, the bar goes backwards every once in a while. That's because if you have a character like Torador who puts out stun, or Hex, then every time he gets hit with some kind of CC effect like that, that bar will go backwards. That's why I recommend you save your Torador ult so that he can hit faster and have a higher chance to stun during that. So every round, you have 3 minutes to go through each phase. As you can see here, this is where my characters started dying. So you really need to make sure they have a decent amount of HP so they can survive these attacks. Now the question I imagine most of you guys are asking is, when should we use our ults? And I saved it for the last because it's probably the most complicated answer. First off, it depends on what your team is. If you have a team that is not struggling with the timer at all, is able to kill them within 3 minutes with no problem, then you can really time your ults for when he's most vulnerable at the end of each phase. Just keep in mind though that at the end of the 3rd phase, he will take the most amount of damage. So as you guys can see, I got around 60,000, which is way above the 30,000 threshold you need. And based upon the scores in Forerunner, I would be in the top 20 in the entire world, at least for the first difficulty. All that being said, if you guys enjoyed this video, please hit that like and subscribe button because we got a lot more coming, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.